Ian Garry versus Carlos Prates is a fight that I didn't know I needed, but it makes me all the more creamier. I genuinely didn't know I needed this fight in my life, but I think it's going to be a banger. Well, maybe. It really depends on what version of Ian Garry we see, but Ian Garry has this tendency to turn really exciting fighters in a really exciting matchup into a boring 5 round or 3 round war. He turns these fights really boring, honestly. You watch the MVP fight, even him versus Neil Magny. He should have put him out early, and it went 3 rounds. Like, bro, we all expected you to put him out right away, and it didn't happen. Um, I just have a couple issues with Ian Garry. I do think Ian Garry is an excellent fighter, but we'll get into it later in the video. So let's talk about Carlos Prates, his weaknesses, what he's great at, and how I see the fight going. So when you look at every single Carlos Prates fight, every single person he ever fights tries to take him down. Only one was successful, and it was his first fight on the Contender Series against this guy named Ramirez. But as you can see right here, when he took him down, Carlos Prates utilized a beautiful butterfly sweep, and he wasn't even on his back for very long. I think he might have underrated jiu-jitsu. We don't know. I know he's training with Barajo all the time, and definitely could have an underrated ground game that we never get to see because he's so good on the feet. But everyone tries to take him down, and I can understand why. And then when you go to his actual first fight in the UFC against Giles didn't actually try to take him down. He was having success on the feet against Carlos. And one thing I noticed, you can see right here in this picture, anytime that Giles would go for a blitz or pressure him, Carlos would back out straight. He wouldn't curl, he wouldn't circle out, he would back up straight, and he would get caught. If you watch this fight, he actually gets a pretty nasty eye from this fight, and it's not looking good for him. Like, the live odds after in round 2, they had Giles winning because Carlos was honestly getting picked apart by this guy. This is the one instance in one fight where Carlos really didn't look too good. And I think this is something that Ian Garry could start to pick apart. If Ian Garry blitzes and is hunting the head, hunting the body, Carlos just backs straight out. He doesn't circle out, which is something that you're supposed to do. He never circles out. He just backs straight up. We saw that with Mr. Astro Boy. He backed out straight against Kai Kara France, and he got knocked out, and I cried and pooped my pants. When you go and watch his fight against Radke, or however you pronounce the dude's name, don't really care for him. Right away, less than a minute in, he goes to the clinch against Carlos Prates. This is one of the strengths that Carlos has. He has excellent takedown defense. He always gets the underhooks, and he's able to push away and frame out. It's honestly pretty impressive for a long, lengthy guy, and it's something that you need if you're going to be an elite striker and you're going to want to go for the title, because Bilal Muhammad is super good at pressuring, but I don't know if this is a guy you want to pressure against. Carlos Prates is a freaking monster, and he's got the quickest straight left I've ever seen. It puts people out. It's just, he's a bruiser, man. One thing that you need to look out for in this fight, Carlos Prates, go to any of his knockouts, any of them in the entire UFC, you will notice a trend in where it happens. It's sort of Ilia Topuria-esque. He likes to pressure you and get you up on the fence, and once you are in his range, you're out. Against Radke, he went for this. He was holding his lead jab with his right hand, and then he delivers an amazing high knee to his liver. And that's an underrated shot that Carlos has. He is always landing that knee just because he's so lengthy, and a knee for him is basically like an uppercut for someone else. He's got the longest legs. You go to the Li Jingliang fight. Look at where he did it again, on the fence. He likes to pressure you. Li was finding no success against him whatsoever, and Li Jingliang is a good fighter. He's a good fighter. He just This is a guy you don't want to stand and bang with because he will just push you out. That Giles fight might be an exception. It's so long ago. We haven't seen anyone try to blitz him ever since then, I think just because they have so much respect for him. Then when you go to the Neil Magny fight, Neil Magny, skilled fighter, I guess. Like, he's got good IQ, but when you watch this fight, every time that Prates would try to land that shot, Neil Magny would get him in the clinch, get him up on the fence, and I would say Carlos struggled with this, but he never got taken down. He actually landed a pretty clean judo throw on Neil Magny in this fight when he was in the clinch. He just has excellent takedown defense, but it's something that I feel that Ian Garry will be able to do pretty well, is whenever he's in trouble, I know he's going to go for a takedown. I know he's going to try to find the clinch, and it could give Carlos some problems. We don't know much about his ground game. I know he's landed a couple sweeps. That's really about it. But Ian Garry's been training with Charles Oliveira, and I do fear that if it goes to the ground, Ian Garry will lay on top of him for 5 rounds. It won't be, I don't think he'll get a submission or anything, but I think he will probably dominate the positional control. But yeah, this is the way to have success against him. Get him up on the fence, clinch him, try to land some knees. Ian Garry, I mean, he looked okay against Shavkat, but I'm not too moved. One thing about these guys is both of these guys' stances is traditional Muay Thai stance. They're both pretty straight up, high guard. Carlos doesn't really, he doesn't have the highest guard. That's one thing that he does really well, is super good head movement, but he's super lengthy and it's hard to get into range with him. He's super dangerous on the feet. He can teep you all day, and then he can land a nasty body kick that'll turn into a left straight because you're so focused on that. So I think that's something Ian Garry needs to look out for. When we look at Ian Garry, he's fought some good people. He's fought Michael Venom Page, Neil Magny, Shavkat, and you could argue that Michael Venom Page is more of a dynamic striker than Carlos Prates is, because he really is. Ian Garry just didn't want to do anything on the feet against this guy. If you go back and watch the Kevin Holland fight with MVP, you'll understand why. He was finding no success, and Kevin Holland's genuinely a good boxer. But Ian Garry, he's smart. I think Ian Garry, that's his strength, is his fight IQ and how he's able to change right away. Like, if he makes a mistake, his coaches will tell him, and he won't make that mistake again. And one thing that Carlos Prates needs to watch out for is when you go and watch the MVP fight, anytime that he threw a kick, Ian Garry would take him down. He'd just catch it, take him down. So I think Carlos needs to avoid throwing a lot of kicks this fight and just stick with his hands, because I know he can knock anyone out with that straight left. You see right here versus MVP, he just grabs the leg, takes him down, holds him down for the rest of that round, hops on his back. And yeah, Ian Garry genuinely does have really good positional control. He was getting his hooks in consistently against MVP, and then even against Shavkat, he got in that rear naked choke and almost got it. And that was just horrible. That made me want to just cry. But there's a glaring mistake that Ian Garry does quite often. Whenever he throws his lead left hook, you look in the Song fight, that right hand is down. It's down. That lead left hook, sure, it's always there. He tries to rip the body, but bang. In this fight, this is the one time he gets dropped. I thought it was over for him when I was watching this live. He comes back, recovers, beats him, which says something about Ian Garry. He can overcome adversity, but he does have glaring mistakes in his striking. Against a Carlos Prates, you need to keep that right hand up at all times, because if that left lands one time, you will be wobbled and he will put you out. And it's funny, here's another picture from that fight. Look at this. Ian Garry's going for a little bit of a bull rush, and he's trying to land the right hand, and both of his hands are completely down. He's literally putting his head on a tray to be eaten with a fork and a knife. and maybe a spoon. You cannot do this against Carlos Prates. He will destroy you. He will end your UFC belt dreams. One thing, if you do watch the Ian Garry fights, though, he's really good at adjusting. After the Song fight, or after he got knocked down by Song in the first, if you notice, go watch the fight back. Anytime he started to throw that left, he would start bringing the hand up. It'd be about here, which leaves your temple wide open. But he's definitely good at adjusting. He has great fight IQ, and I think it's going to be somewhat of a problem for Carlos Prates. So here's how I think the fight is going to go. I think Ian Garry is going to have his moments early. He's going to clinch. He might get a takedown. And I feel like in the first round, he's just going to hold Carlos Prates down the whole time. And then everyone's going to be like, oh my gosh, another Ian Garry fight. One of these things, one of these dingleberries. And then round 2, Carlos Prates is going to knock him out. I think Carlos Prates is going to win. He's a great striker. He's got a good takedown defense. I think he's just more exciting, and I think he's got the Alex Pereira power. Like, he is so exciting for the 170 division, and I think Carlos Prates by TKO round 2. That's how it's going to happen. And if I'm wrong, I will eat a pair of jeans on camera. So